movement was begun by a scientist who discovered, quite by accident, these signals being sent.
Look out for Charlie.
I want that son of a bitch dead. I want him dead.
So I've said 1,000 times that this technology that's being used, this sound weapon, is hidden within the paranormal. It's touted and brought out as paranormal, extraterrestrial, all that shit. So, here's another case of it. Years ago, I would have watched this channel and totally got into it. Now I watch these kind of channels because of what I can find in it and the technology that is hidden within these missing persons videos and missing 411 type videos. It's the only reason why I watch them. I don't get into the mysteries at all. 99% of these signals and audio samples that I find have the signatures of this weapon in them. I've only heard a couple samples of audio that didn't. So, when people come to my channel and they go, it can't all be this. Some of it has to be paranormal. No, most of it is. And I've only heard a couple and seen a couple spectrally that don't have the signatures of this frequency weapon. So in this particular video, it's cries from disembodied voices, and what it entails. I'm not going to play any of it. You can go check it out at Missing Persons Mysteries. But what happens is these people go missing, and then a day or two or a week later, whatever, searchers or people in the area will hear cries of help coming from somewhere. But I assure you that there's no one there, because they never find the people in that area. They just hear the cries for help. And this kind of stuff happens all the time with these missing 411 cases. Or the person will call somebody, and this entails voice cloning and calling a friend, a wife, a family member, whoever, and they always say, I'm in a field or I'm on a hill and I can't breathe, and then nothing. And then when the person calls back, or if the phone calls back, it sounds like they always say heavy breathing or wind, which is exactly what I've talked about before. These frequencies sound just like wind when they're rumbling in a microphone. So this happens over and over and over. And these people love to think it's paranormal, and it's not. It's just not. I would love it if it was paranormal, but it's not. And there's another case that has to do with this that is big time real, because they're testing it on all of us. They don't care if you're a soldier, a cop, a nurse, a doctor, a janitor, a meth head. Doesn't matter. They're going to test it on you. At some point, you are going to be influenced by this, whether you are sleeping, awake, or whatever. It is out there altering the past, present, and future of people by influence. You can look up cop story after cop story where they talk about they think they heard a gunshot. And if this cop isn't totally together, and if you have one of those cops that's really on edge and maybe not the most stable person in the world, they could draw their weapon and act on that. You have to realize what a powerful weapon this is. You have cries for help coming from somewhere out in the brush, and that gets another person lost, and that gets another person lost. And people go, why would they do that? They're doing this to see what works. Why would they do MK Ultra? They wanted to see if they could take control of people and get them to do, carry out assassinations and do things. Typical people, housewives. They wanted to see if they could get them to do things against their better judgment, against their own moral code. Why would they do that? Well, they did it, you morons. And they do it over and over and over again. And these morons out there go, why would they do that? They do it because they do it. Because they don't think like you or I think. That's why they do it. This is also an excellent weapon of war. If you can see a blue beam platoon or a jet and hear the soldiers, you don't even need to see them. Hearing is almost better than seeing. You hear soldiers or tanks or a jet or gunfire off in the distance, you're going to either retreat or go for it. It's going to screw stuff up. This is a weapon of war, and the war has been brought here. This is where the war's at. The 21st century war is on you. And if you're a cop, and I've been asking for this forever, if you're a cop and you don't believe me, if you are in law enforcement, record yourself sleeping for 8 hours or even an hour, 2 hours, whatever, and send it to me. And I will send it back to you and blow your mind, because they are working on everybody. No one is exempt from this. The reason why I'm saying that is because I want to get to soldiers. There is a Mr. Ballin video that is out there that talks about this event that happened in Afghanistan and continues to happen to these soldiers to this very day. These guys were Marines, and they were sent to this outpost. There's actually like a haunted, one of the paranormal shows there's an episode on it. And Mr. Ballin talks about it. And what ends up happening is they end up getting radio interference. And then in their night vision, one of the Marines is picking up a Taliban type guy getting closer and closer. And then they get attacked with mortars and gunshots and rocket propelled grenades and all these different things that happen. But when it's all over, there's nothing there. Nothing happened. Nothing got hurt. It was all audio. They convinced these people that it was paranormal. But these incidents and weird things are continuously happening to these guys afterwards because they are continuing to test on them. You know, there's so many reasons that this is used, and what they are doing is enforcing the PTSD in some of these guys afterwards from the experience. You know, there's all kinds of blue beam tech that they've used, and when they put it on television shows, they purposely put a blue line around it and make it look all Star Wars, Obi-Wan Kenobi, help me, you're my only hope, and make it look fake because they need it to look fake so it doesn't scare people. That's a fact. Check it out, look it up. But anyway, with blue beam and different types of electronic visual weapons combined with audio weapons, the difference between magic and technology is now nil. You just don't know it. So when they see these things, their heads are fucked, and if they would have known it was tech right off the bat, they wouldn't have gave a shit. And that's what I always try to pull people out before they get too deep, to realize that it's technology, because when they get too deep into it, it's very, very hard to pull them back out, because the PTSD is strong, the damage is strong, and it is happening everywhere. This operates while you sleep as well, as audio, as all types of different frequencies bombard your head, arguing and doing all these different things to alter your state of consciousness, not only while you're sleeping, but while you're awake the next day. And I'm going to be straight up with you. With a lot of these cases that you got in Afghanistan and all that, where these incidents are happening to these soldiers, they're seeing things in their night vision that aren't there. And when they look with their eyes or with regular binoculars, they're not there. The infrared is picking it up. Or, you know, the sound weapons. It is not Afghanistan people doing this to them, okay? But it may not even be the U.S. government doing this to them. I mean, there's only two groups of people that it could be, though. It's either the U.S. government testing on them, or it's the IDF/Mossad testing on them. It's only one or two, because they are very interested in this stuff as well, and they're using it domestically. And you have companies like the Cubes that are using it on citizens, because these are private firms that are basically contracting out a CIA/Mossad type privatized service to private citizens, which is dangerous as hell. So every week I roll around YouTube and these different channels and check out as many of these stories as I can, because it doesn't satisfy my quest for, you know, checking out paranormal things anymore, because I don't believe it. I used to before I got schooled myself. But it does let me know what types of people they are testing this technology out on. And right now, besides private citizens, they are testing it out on law enforcement officers and soldiers all the time. And they have no idea that they're being hit with this. Security guards, those type of people, they're learning how to manipulate and fool and trick. And when you have somebody like that you can fool and trick when these people are actually on the job, then it can have a serious domino effect. Now, if you don't understand what I'm getting at, check out the video that I put out a while ago called The Myth of the Credible Witness, where cops think that a Honda is an AK-47 going off. Then think about other incidents that happened. Incidents like Las Vegas, where shots were heard way down the road at other casinos and people were running and hiding and things. When you listen to other interviews with police and security guards, even patrons of some of these casinos, it doesn't make sense. And that is not to say that it didn't happen. That's saying that layers of confusion are being added to the narrative, and that is the best weapon of war. And it wasn't echoes, and it wasn't reverberation coming off other buildings and all that jive sauce that people throw around. I have analyzed all that audio. I put in the hours and hours and hours into that audio and checked out as much of it as I could. And it's not reverberation, it's not echo, it's something else. And it's very, very, very similar to the helicopter blades that you'll hear in the Myth of the Credible Witness video that I put out. In fact, it's indistinguishable. And I actually had somebody, I'm paraphrasing right now, but they said, I've been in the military for years and I couldn't distinguish between the two. So there you go. And that's it for now. Look out for Charlie.